Hello everyone, welcome to the MCSR Ranked Wrapped, if you will, where I'll be talking about a few things which I find interesting from the past year of Minecraft speedrunning. But first, allow me 20 seconds to introduce myself. I'm Nadi. I got into speedrunning 3-ish years ago now, and I started playing Ranked back in Season 1. I'm actually playing in an event right now, which is why I'm not live. I'm pre-recorded, but hopefully that doesn't take away from this too much. I also made the main Discord bot which people use for ranked stats, and finally, usually I make these stat segments for MCSR tournaments, but this one's a little bit different to what I've done in the past. Instead of focusing on the players, I'm going to be focusing on you guys, if you play the game, which you totally should. Anyways, our first question of the day is, what was the rarest advancement of 2025? I have access to every single advancement which players made over the past year, so in other words, which one did players get the least? Now, some rules for this. This is counting 2025 non-cheated ranked matches only, so only matches with ELO on the line. And advancements like how did we get here are obviously the hardest, so I'm looking for the hardest ones which actually have been done before. With that said, put your guess in the chat. We will come back to this subject at the end. For now though, let's talk about the growth of MCSR Ranked over this past year, particularly these last few months. This is a graph of ongoing matches with total matches played against date for the first month of Season 7. This is just over a year ago on the turn of 2025. I did want to have a cool animation with the player count rising and falling over time, but I couldn't figure it out before today, so here we are. Now what can we see here? Well, the period begins with a very classic 3-second forfeit by Hina on December 21st. The number of matches ongoing remains very stable, around 20 to 30 happening at any given point, and we can see a few maintenances here and there, as well as some recurrent spikes, presumably on the weekend. Obviously, we can also see the player count going down and up when the world falls asleep and mostly wakes up. And also, the match count does increase pretty linearly here. I do actually need to move my camera for this. This is the graph expanded to the entire year. So we can see the sample that we just looked at here at the very beginning, and it contains just 3.6% of the total matches played for the rest of the period. You might be able to also guess what this jump is. On the 13th of May, single-player private rooms became a feature, so the number of matches played increased pretty much permanently after that. And since then, we've had sizable jumps around the time of mid-offs in August, and also in November, and it's just kind of been steadily increasing these last, 6 months or so. I'm not quite sure what happened in December though. What's that? Apparently on December 3rd, someone started playing who was so bad that they rage-baited tens of thousands of people into learning to speedrun. Either way, concurrent player records continue to be broken pretty much every week, especially with what you're watching right now. Potentially the greatest playoffs to date. Shout out Ranked. Let's go back to our initial question. I hope you have some answers ready. We can warm up with the most common advancements. These are pretty easy to guess. Number 5, we have entering a bastion, occurring 1.8 million times. Following that is Isn't It Iron Pick with 1.9 mil, and surprisingly more than Iron Pick is entering the Nether, with just over 2 million occurrences. And you might ask, why is the percentage of games that it occurred in, why is it over 100%? And that's because of world resets. So there are actually more Nether enters than there are matches played. In second place is Stone Age, and at this rate you should be able to guess what is number 1. It is of course Acquire Hardware with 2.1 million. Iron is guaranteed in almost every single ranked overworld, so honestly it would be impressive to not get any before a game ends. Anyways, it is time. What was the rarest advancement of 2025? First, some honorable mentions. Shout out to the 103 players who got an Elytra in 2025. Your opponent may hate you, but at least you can be toxic in style. As well, hats off to the 15 people who decided to defend an entire village against a raid. Not sure why you would do that in a speedrun, but here we are. And then there are also the 7 runners who killed a wither and turned its heart into a beacon, presumably for the speed effect, to, speedrun quicker. But moving on, the advancements tied for 5th rarest with only 2 occurrences. We have using a lodestone, harvesting a beehive with a campfire, or at least I think that's what that is. And speedrunners have also brought 2 iron golems into the world, which I think is very, very sweet. There are also 2 advancements which were only done once last year, and one of these is Bullseye, done by a former playoffs participant, which is quite funny. The other advancement, which I put on the next slide, is I think a lot more impressive though. And it is, of course, Cover Me in Debris, performed by 9G in the depths of iron within just 46 minutes. A masterclass of a game, and a masterclass of a video as well. So, that's all I had prepared for today. I've been your host Natty, and I'm gonna go study for my exam tomorrow. Enjoy the matches. Goodbye.